Hello, I'm Maura Allaire, and I'm an associate professor at the University of California Irvine, where I run the Water Equity Lab. One policy and governance challenge I'd like to highlight is unincorporated communities. The US is one of the only countries in the world with large populations living in locations outside of city bounds and not governed by a municipal government. These are called unincorporated areas, and they can be located in the middle of metropolitan regions and have substantial populations. In the absence of municipal government, unincorporated communities are governed by county-level governments. Communities on the margins of incorporated places tend to be minoritized populations with less political representation and can lack safe water and sewer access. Over a third of the US population is estimated to live in unincorporated areas. Despite their prevalence, unincorporated communities are often overlooked by the WASH literature. Well-known cases of environmental injustice have involved unincorporated communities, such as Louisiana's Cancer Alley and the dumping of PCBs in Warren County, North Carolina. Yet it's unknown how many unincorporated communities exist, how they are distributed, and their current level of access to water and wastewater services. Research in the US is limited by inconsistent recognition by the US Census, which identifies a subset of unincorporated communities, yet leaves an unknown number invisible. Unincorporated communities can face an uphill battle when securing water and sanitation infrastructure. They're typically areas that are left behind by municipal annexation that county governments are then tasked with serving. But their service areas can be inefficient since they include islands, checkerboarded land, and rural areas that are not cost-effective to serve with centralized systems. Some also have limited financial control because of extraterritorial jurisdiction. Some states allow city governments to have planning control over areas beyond their boundaries. This then means that county governments can have limited ability to improve their tax base, especially through property tax revenues that can support WASH services. Technical and policy solutions are needed to address these spatial inequities. Modular neighborhood scale infrastructure might play a role in addressing disjoint service areas, especially if paired with regionalized management. Beyond technical innovations, policy advances are also needed. How can we ensure participatory governance for communities that are currently left behind? There are examples we can look to across the country, since there is state-to-state variation in municipal annexation policy and the ability of counties and residents of unincorporated areas to have a say. For example, in California, the state government has created municipal action committees that give advisory roles to unincorporated residents. And what are other mechanisms for providing residents a voice in annexation decisions and providing incentives for extending municipal services to unincorporated areas? Can service regionalization and city-county consolidations play a role? And how can we ensure affordability while improving service levels? Researchers from multiple disciplines are needed to address how incorporation status shapes inequities and how we can close spatial disparities. Spatial analysis can identify and recognize unincorporated areas across multiple states and determine their distribution. Statistical analysis and econometrics can examine the association between jurisdiction and access and how this varies across different levels of county power over planning decisions and other policy levers. Engineering and public health researchers could investigate the promise of modular infrastructure and other technical innovations. Collaborating on this challenge would shed light on how we can provide safe water for all.